Apple finally did it, and the iPhone 17 Pro Max actually feels like a brand new iPhone again. From the massive new plateau camera bump to a bigger battery and some surprisingly useful upgrades, this isn't just the usual copy and paste of last year's model, but is it really worth your money? Let's find out. So my iPhone 17 Pro Max finally arrived a few days ago, and honestly, it's refreshing to see a proper design change. We've had basically the same rear look since the 11 Pro Max, but now Apple's given us this new massive camera module they're calling the Plateau. At first I thought it was ugly, but it's one of those designs that grows on you over time, and it looks way better in person than it did in the leaks. And to be fair, it's not just about looks. The unibody design adds strength, it gives Apple more space for a bigger battery, and of course we get some camera upgrades which we're going to cover shortly. Now speaking of the battery, mine's the UK model with a 4832 mAh battery. Now that's 147 more than last year. If you're in the US though, you get the eSIM only version, and this bumps it all the way up to 5088 mAh, and that's a huge 403 mAh increase. Add that to a new antenna band wrapping all the way around the camera housing, plus Apple's new modem, and signal should also be improved as well. Well, the sides are now more curved, which does make it a lot more comfier to hold. Personally, I did prefer the flatter edges of the old version, but what do you guys prefer, flat or curved? Drop it in the comments. There's also this square glass section in the middle. It looks like a design choice, but it's actually functional. It's required for the 25-watt MagSafe and Qi 2 charging, since wireless charging doesn't work through metal, and Apple's also upgraded the durability of this part with Ceramic Shield 2. Now for those of you that want to protect your new iPhone even further, we've got today's video sponsor, the CASEKOO Magic Stand 360. They've got a range of different colors to provide the perfect match for your iPhone, from the cosmic orange to the matte colored deep blue. The Magic Stand 360 features a built-in stand that offers 360 degrees of rotation and 170 degrees of horizontal and vertical tilt to prop your phone up at the perfect angle, or even just use it as a grip. The Mag Prime Array technology delivers 2 times stronger magnetism than the official standard, supporting up to 25-watt wireless charging, and it's fully compatible with all of your MagSafe accessories and your Qi certified chargers. It offers all-round protection, featuring upgraded 3.0 U-Shock airbags to shield the lenses and the displays, and the D cover offers semi-covered camera protection instead of leaving the whole camera module exposed. And the ergonomic anti-slip grip provides a secure hold so you don't drop it. So go ahead and grab your Magic Stand 360 now by clicking the link down in the description below. They're currently running a 15% off limited time sale on Amazon, so don't miss out. Now on the front of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, not much has really changed. It's still a 6.9-inch 120Hz panel at 1320 by 2868 resolution, but now it's got a typical brightness of 1600 nits and a peak brightness of 3000. Plus, Apple have also added a new anti-reflective coating, which is a noticeable improvement over the 16 Pro Max, although with a side-by-side comparison to the S25 Ultra, the S25 still looks a little bit better. Now the biggest change is up front in the selfie camera. It's now 18 megapixels, it's a larger sensor, and it's also square. The square format means you can take photos in both portrait and landscape without having to flip the phone around. It's clever, and it also helps with things like center stage video as well as stabilization. Now buttons are exactly the same as last year. You've got the action button and the capture button included, but I'll be honest though, I barely use this camera control button. I still take photos the old way, and if I could trade this button for even an extra 10 mAh of battery, I definitely would. Unboxing is as minimal as always. You get the phone, the braided USB-C cable, you get a SIM tool if you've got a SIM version, and then finally you got the paperwork. Of course, powering the phone, we've got the new A19 Pro chipset, but this time we've also got a vapor chamber to aid with the thermals, and this means that the phone can perform better for longer, which is great for both gaming and productivity. And put simply, in a phone, you don't have much there for cooling, so when a chip gets hot, it has to reduce power to prevent it overheating, which we refer to as throttling. And as you can see, running the Wildlife Extreme benchmark on both my 16 Pro Max and the 17 Pro Max. Of course, the 17 Pro Max gets a much higher score anyway, but it's also much better on the stability score, and you can see from the graph of the performance, the 17 Pro Max tapers off much more gradually compared to the 16 Pro Max that essentially goes from peak performance to low performance within 2 minutes, and then it pretty much stays there. Now I'm not much of a mobile gamer myself, but of course it's going to handle anything you throw at it, and we get to play with high graphic details and buttery smooth gameplay for all of the latest titles, and it's also great for any video editing on the go with things like CapCut. And with a bump from 8GB to 12GB of RAM, this is also going to improve your gaming, your productivity, and of course, better multitasking capabilities. For the cameras, as I said, the selfie camera gets a big change, and it's gone from 12 megapixels to 18 megapixels, and it's also a larger sensor. But this time it's square, so it can crop for both portrait and landscape without having to change the phone's orientation. And for me, this is actually a little bit wasteful because rarely do I take selfies, and when I do, they're generally always portrait, which means I'm actually just wasting pixels in the sensor compared to if it was a 4x3 sensor, but it does make the camera a lot more versatile for those that use it a lot. Of course, if you want a landscape selfie, you can now do it. And not only that, but the phone will automatically add new people to the frame, and it's even going to do that in video calls. It also allows the frame to crop closer and keep you in the center. And of course, the extra pixels that aren't being used are also being used for additional information for things like stabilization. But again, I personally don't run while taking selfies, so it's not something that's going to aid me too much, but nevertheless, it's a much better selfie camera than last year and so much more versatile, so it's a win. Now, another big bonus on the landscape mode of the selfie camera though is having landscape videos while still looking at the center of the phone. So this is a huge bonus for anyone that does a lot of selfie videos or creates content with their phone. Now over on the rear, it's the same 48 megapixel primary camera as last year, which was already great. And of course, although it's the same camera from the 16 Pro Max, we still get improvements thanks to a new ISP and software tweaks, but I think you're only going to really notice it if you compare them side by side with the old phone. And of course, you're going to see some slight improvements like cleaner shadows and better detail in night shot. We do, however, get a big change to the telephoto, which is now a 48 megapixel sensor and also a larger sensor. It's also now 4 times optical zoom instead of last year's 5. And on paper, that sounds like a downgrade in magnification, but in practice, the higher resolution sensor means you can crop in further and still keep that optical quality look. Apple, of course, advised this as 8 times optical zoom, and while technically that's not really true, it does mean we get good photos at both 4 times and 8 times zoom now, and basically because of the setup, you're now going to get great results from 1 times all the way to 8 times, although as you push past the 8 times zoom, things start to go downhill as usual, but I'll cover a lot more in my in-depth camera comparison video coming very soon. Now for video, again, we'll go into more depth on my camera comparison, but the larger sensor on the telephoto is going to aid with zoom and low light situations. We've also got new features like Apple Log 2, Genlock support and ProRes RAW recording, and of course the larger selfie camera aids with both quality and stabilization, so we'll just check out the video samples now.
So this is the video from the selfie camera in the portrait mode. Quite a bit of wind and obviously noise from the traffic, so it'll give you an idea of how the microphone deals with that. Also, rain's about to start, which is not ideal, so just do a bit of a slow pan around. The one downside is you can't switch between portrait and landscape while you're filming, but that kind of makes sense because it will change the ratio of the video. We'll just do a run to test the stabilization. And that's quality from the selfie camera in portrait mode. Now, same thing again, it's the selfie camera, but this time we're in landscape mode. A bit of a slow pan around, and again we'll do a jog just to test the stabilization. So I can see this being good if you create a lot of content with you speaking in landscape mode, as it does allow you to look at the center of the camera. But that's the video quality from the selfie camera in landscape. Now this is the video from the primary camera, just walking forward slowly. We'll do a slow pan around, quick pan back, and again we're just going to do some jogging to see the stabilization. It's getting really windy now, but that's the stabilization. And of course from the primary camera you can change zooms while you're filming, so if we go to 0.5, 2 times, 4 times, 8 times, and if we zoom in as far as we can go, there is 24 times, just down the road. So that's the video at 24 times.
Now another new feature is the dual capture, where you can capture video from the selfie camera and the rear camera at the same time. But personally, I've had loads of phones that have had this in the past and I've never used it.
And this is a video from the primary camera and the selfie camera in the new dual capture mode. So when it comes to this selfie video here, You can move it around. Unfortunately, you can't resize it, which is a bit disappointing, but you can also change the focal length on the camera at the same time. Again, as I said, it's not something that I'm going to use, but if you do reaction videos, then that could be a good thing.
So some great results from the camera, and the only thing for me is this camera control button, and it's still there, and for me it's just not needed at all. I find it awkward to swipe between the cameras and settings, and personally I just don't use it and I take photos the old way. Now for colours, I've picked up the blue. Silver felt a little bit too dull. Cosmic orange looked amazing, and it's actually my personal favourite, but it's just a bit too bold for me to carry around every day. The blue just looks more sleek for me, and it definitely looks much better in person. Now software-wise, it ships with iOS 26, and I'll do a more detailed look in another video, but the highlights include the liquid glass design, simplified camera UI and Apple Intelligence features, but unfortunately, Apple Intelligence still feels a little bit behind the competition. They overpromised last year and of course under-delivered, and this year it was barely mentioned in the keynote. Some of the smarter Siri features that we were expecting have reportedly now been pushed back to 2026, but to Apple's credit, they are keeping more processing on the device for privacy, but it does seem to be holding them back in terms of speed and integration, but hopefully we will see some improvements rolled out this year. Now price-wise, surprisingly, it's kept to the same price, which is $1,199 in the UK and $1,199 in the USA, despite all of the recent issues with tariffs. And of course, the base model is 256GB. We've now got a choice all the way up to a whopping 2TB of storage. But that's pretty much it from me, and as always though, I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments. Who out there is getting an iPhone 17? Who out there has already got one? And who's gonna skip it? But plenty more iPhone content to come on the channel, so if you haven't already, then hit subscribe now so you don't miss a thing in the future.